Lady in red is dancing with me, cheek to cheek. There's nobody here, it's just you and me. It's where I wanna be, but I hardly know this beauty by my side. No, I never will forget the way you look tonight. I never will forget the way you look tonight. Y'all, it's Friday evening. It is a long-ass week behind us. This week has been crazy. Y'all know it. You know this week has been crazy. And OKJ's got her title for her live stream, Tim Ballard's Charges. But folks, have you ever known me ever to not have purpose? I want to talk about this week in the lens of what it's like to be a real woman. I'm talking about all the women on this planet. A woman, a female, a woman. That's what I want to talk about. And when I sing and I butcher Lady in Red, we will get to Tim Ballard, but let's just go here first. Rebecca Musser tells the harrowing story of her childhood, her marriage, and her eventual escape into her book, which is titled The Witness Wore Red, the 19th wife who brought polygamous cult leaders to justice. Think about that. Musser told her story to NPR's Jackie Leiden. The Witness Wore Red, y'all, is a gripping account of one woman's struggle to escape the perverse embrace of religious fanaticism and sexual slavery, and a courageous story of hope and transformation. Think about that. In 2007, y'all, and before we go into this, why would KJ put on her title, Tim Ballard's Charges? Why would I do that and go into this, right? What does this have to do with anything? Does the FLDS have anything to do with the LDS Church at all? Well, I guess that's up for you to decide, right? But in 2007, a breakaway extremist offshoot of the Mormon Church called the Fundamentalist Church of the Latter-day Saints made national news. Police raided an FLDS compound in Texas where they found hundreds of women and girls. The church's leader, Warren Jeffs, was sentenced to life in prison plus 20 years behind bars for sexually assaulting children. So why is KJ bringing this to the forefront? Because, folks, let me tell you what. There's women and men. And which is the most abused? Women, by far, are the most abused. They've been violated. They've been, every damn thing. Everything that can happen to a woman has happened on this earth. The star witness in Jeff's trial was a young woman named Rebecca Musser. Musser grew up in the FLDS church under the control of Warren Jeffs and his father, Rulon. When she was just 19 years old, she was forced to marry the 85-year-old Rulon. Following his death, Musser made the terrifying decision to escape from the church into an outside world she had been taught to fear. Y'all think this stuff doesn't go on? There are people out here in La La Land media world that want to say it's a shakedown, that Tim Ballard is squeaky clean and Tim Ballard is fine and dandy. So this Rebecca, she talks a little about it, and y'all just bear with me. I'm going down this line of thinking and application. She talks about on how her father came to be part of the FLDS church. Again, this is a man, her father, who became part of the church. She was just his daughter, right? There are so many daughters out here in the world that deserve all the love in the world. All these daughters out here in the world that do everything they know how to do. Y'all, this is some serious stuff coming out here on freaking social media. My father was a businessman. He was not born and raised in the fundamentalist church, and he was converted to it. He had a wife and 5 children at the time of his conversion. A couple of years later, he married my mother for his second wife, and I am the 5th child of my mother. So I grew up in the middle of a very large family. Because of the situation with my father being in business, he was not open about the fact that he was a polygamist. And his second wife and her children lived in the basement of the house, and his first wife lived in the upstairs of the house. And let's just stop there for a second. I want to be clear about something. People in their own freedom can do whatever the hell they want to do. But what I am saying is you do whatever you're going to do. But don't be hurting nobody. And I'm just telling you, y'all. These daughters out here, these beautiful women. So she goes on to talk about her polygamous home. Sorry, y'all. My southern tongue don't want to go there, but what does this have to do with Tim Ballard? What? What does this have to do with Tim Ballard? He's not a polygamist. He's not even part of the FLDS church. Let's move forward. My father's first wife did not grow up around polygamy, and the story goes that she at first welcomed my mother into the family, but quickly turned to extreme jealousy. And there was a tremendous amount of physical abuse. And there were also sexual violations going on. In my personal experience, I had an older half-brother who sexually abused me and some of my sisters, and even though his mother found out, I was threatened as a 5-year-old little girl. And I grew up with that kind of terror, and I did not tell anyone until I was an adult woman. Folks, I'm here to tell you right now, no matter what trauma you've ever experienced in your life, you are so much more than that. You can just shut the door on that. You can move forward. You can do so many things because of what, y'all? You. I'm talking to you. You are the only you you're ever going to be. There's never going to be another one of you. Not in the ancient times, past, present, future. Never. It'll only be you. And you deserve love, honor, peace of mind. And then this Rebecca Musser, let me see here. Yeah, Musser, excuse me. Y'all, I get so passionate about stuff that my mind just wants to go, wee! It just wants to go somewhere else, wherever it's going to go. But I promise you this, I'm as sincere as I can possibly be. If I falter in being honest and sincere, then you can see a snapshot of humanity. Because none of us are perfect. None of us are ever going to be perfect. But on the teachings of the FLDS, and let's keep in mind Tim Ballard and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, As a child growing up as a woman, I was taught that the very highest thing I could ever hope to attain was to become a mother in Zion, to be perfectly obedient to the prophet, and one day have the opportunity to be placed by a good priesthood man, to be perfectly obedient to him. Knowing what I know now, I look back on the many of those teachings and I realize the tremendous amount of mind control that goes into place to keep that kind of controlled environment maintained. Lady in red, folks. When I found out that I was going to be married to an 80-plus-year-old man, y'all, this is what she's talking about here. There's no way you or me or anyone else, unless they've been there, can even wrap this around our heads, but let's try. It was tremendously hard because on one hand, I had all this principle going on in my head telling me that this is right, this is holy, this is what I've been taught, that I've lived for my entire life. And yet here was this man who was supposed to be God, immortality, and then to see the very human, the very carnal side of this man was incredibly overwhelming because I could no longer deny the reality of the incongruity. What we were taught versus what was really going on. What was really going on at Operation Underground Railroad? What was really going on with Tim Ballard personally? You think Tim Ballard was really starting to get into the ketamine? I mean, he'd already been drinking and doing pills, popping pills. We don't know what kind of pills they were. But, folks, the bottom line is Tim Ballard absolutely did not know what being spiritually sober was all about. I mean, what? Russell M. Ballard's like, okay, Tim, I'm Russell M. Ballard. You're going to pop pills. You're going to drink. You're going to let women sit on your lap in titty bars. You're going to do all these things, Tim Ballard. And me, Russell M. Ballard, I say that you've got the okay to do this couple's ruse. Give me a break. I struggled with the decision of what to do, says this Rebecca, this lady in red, right? And I did. I finally just realized that I could not say yes to something I no longer agreed with, and I did. And I left a note on my bed. I was able to slip out past security guards and get away. And for 10 years, I was only one from that family who was able to get out. Imagine the people in your life, and some of y'all are alone, and I get it. Some of y'all don't have extended family or even immediate family, but I'm just trying to make a point here. Think about somebody in your family that you love more than anything, and you want to have a relationship with them ongoing. Even if you don't live close to each other, you're still visiting when you can. She left all the people that she ever loved behind. Think about that. Jess said, Jay, maybe I should. Maybe that's the channel I need to go down. Maybe I should ride that track. Hello, Nolan does stuff. Volume too high. Fancy Nancy, I know it's tough. These people come in here. Hello, Janelle Murphy. I would feel so cheated if I was young and had to marry an 80-year-old man. Well, I mean, Janelle, that was an honor in the FLDS. They had groomed her ever since she was a child. All these girls, young women and adult women. Folks, I'm here after a crazy week to talk about the plight of society's mind that somehow, some way, it's going to continue down this trajectory of women not being treated as equal in their love, their citizenship or anything else. I think women and men are equals. Okay, that's what I think. Some people disagree. In terms of responsibility, there's a slight variation there. But I will say this, women, how about this? I'll say it like this. A mother's love is eternal. And everyone on this channel has a mother, whether you have a relationship with her or not. A mother's love is eternal. And if that's not a perfect miracle from God, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Kathy, oh, you were eating, Fancy Nancy says. You know what? I just want to take a moment to say this. You know, my mods and all, I mean, y'all, when I say my mods, it's almost like a badge of honor, you know, for anyone to take their time to do anything for me. It's incredible. But then again, how about this? I'll say this, and then we'll be even Steven. I'll work my ass off to do the best I can. Whether it falls short or not, I am always being sincere, honest, and forthcoming. Whether it comes out all crazy or stupid or good or bad or ugly or whatever, I'm always doing the next best thing. And we're going to this, y'all. We're going to go to this federal lawsuit against Tim Ballard because I've been reading these victims, these alleged victims' accounts, and we'll continue. I'm sorry. As you well know, a lot of shit's gone on this week. I've been MIA. I've had business to deal with, all kind of crazy stuff. But we are going to get down in this live stream the actual factual, I said that twice, allegations. The allegations in the federal lawsuit on Tim Ballard. And as I speak these allegations in a federal lawsuit against Tim Ballard, I want you to remember just a few minutes ago, the lady in red and what she went through. Defendant Ballard is a captivating storyteller who attracted many followers to his nonprofit organization, Operation Underground Railroad. Y'all, this is verbatim in the legal federal lawsuit documents, okay? Under the guise of philanthropic missions or operations aimed at rescuing women and children from human trafficking, Ballard used his position of influence and trust to exploit vulnerable individuals. Ballard specifically targeted women for sex, labor, and other services in violation of federal anti-trafficking laws. Now, before we move forward, how about this? Did Tim Ballard abuse any men? Did Tim Ballard have you seen anything anywhere where Tim Ballard actually abused men? I'm telling you, none of these men are going to come forward, but Tim Ballard absolutely used all kinds of men. I'm not talking about for sex or anything like that. I'm talking about he's a damn liar, or the men in his life were freaking codependent on the fame and fortunes of Tim Ballard, and they were willing to turn the other way because there were plenty of men that knew exactly what Tim Ballard was doing. Ballard used his status to recruit plaintiffs to participate in undercover operations as operatives in order to save women and children. Ballard portrayed himself as a selfless leader who was dedicated to helping vulnerable populations. However, in reality, Ballard used his influence to manipulate and coerce plaintiffs into performing sex, labor, and services for his personal benefit and the benefit of OUR. Once Ballard targeted and recruited a woman, He quickly engaged in grooming and controlling her by using a coercive tactic known as the couple's ruse. The couple's ruse involved a deceptive strategy in which female operatives were required to simulate intimate relationships with Ballard to purportedly fool those traffickers. M.S. Williams money laundering. Now, why is this important? Because Tim Ballard was intricately involved. He was the founder of it and everything, of this M.S. Williams group that was laundering the money, and ultimately the money was going to hire high-end prostitutes, okay? Ballard would allegedly hire prostitutes as part of his illicit activities using funds that were funneled through M.S. Williams and Company, LLC, and involving financial contributions or assistance from defendant parenta. The use of cash from these sources allowed Ballard to obscure the transactions, making it difficult to trace payments linked to his misconduct. This cash flow facilitated his exploitation of women while maintaining a facade of legitimate anti-trafficking operations under the guise of the couple's ruse. The 990 forms filed by OUR reveal significant payments made to M.S. Williams for operations support. These payments were categorized under operation-related services, but the exact nature of these services is not detailed in the 990s. Under the guise of the couple's ruse, this method exploited the trust and emotional needs for safety of the plaintiffs, often leading them to believe they were entering into a mutually supportive and safe relationship, only to be manipulated into exploitive or abusive situations. Ballard exploited the plaintiffs, subjecting them to unwanted and coercive sexual advances, physical and psychological manipulation, sexual contact, and in some cases, violent sexual assault, all while promising that it was necessary to rescue the children. Plaintiffs have set forth in greater specificity how Ballard implemented the couple's ruse and assaulted them, and they give the exhibit numbers and all that, y'all. Due to his former work with Homeland Security, religious and political connections, and multiple media appearances, Ballard gained significant recognition as a prominent figure in the anti-trafficking movement, which made him appear as trustworthy. Ballard presented the couple's ruse as a necessary tactic in the undercover operations. Because of Ballard's perceived expertise and status, the couple's ruse appeared to the women as a legitimate undercover tactic. And Ballard would oftentimes introduce these women to his famous friends such as United States Representative Burgess Owens, Thom Harrison, Tony Robbins, and Glenn Beck to heighten their trust that Ballard was as he claimed. He first claimed that the couple's ruse would prevent the operatives from having to touch each other. Then, as he gained confidence, he claimed that posing as a romantic couple, including engaging in sexual touching and sexual acts, were essential to avoid suspicion from the traffickers whom Ballard portrayed as just omnipotent. However, it became clear that the couple's ruse was simply a false pretense for Ballard to groom, manipulate, and sexually assault the women participating in the operations. Ballard seeks out women he is personally attracted to, but who has no undercover training in any formal or legitimate sense and no Spanish language fluency as Ballard does. He then grooms his victims to gain her admiration and trust by positioning himself as a spiritual savior and heroic figure in the fight against trafficking. Ballard manipulates a woman into believing that she has special skills and qualities needed for undercover anti-trafficking operations, you damn right he wants to tell them that. He wants them all to have them special skills. What a freaking horn dog. What a piece of crap. He identifies what the woman values most or what she might be insecure about, then crafts his praise around those areas, making the praise feel deeply personal to her. So Tim Ballard, he can fill out a woman, right? Well, I'm going to tell you what, he's done enough damage. There are too many people in this world hurting women. And Tim Ballard had all the advantage in the world. He had money, he had a beautiful wife, beautiful children. He had everything in the world to do right. And all he wants to do is stick his damn stuff into something that don't belong to him, or they don't even want it back. Ballard enticed the women with promises of participating in exciting, exotic operations in foreign countries, often framed as a life-saving mission. So these women, they're at fault because they were swayed in, because they really wanted to save women and children? Come on, y'all. Come on. Ballard introduced the couple's ruse and asked if the woman is comfortable pretending to be his romantic partner, first explaining that restrictive safe touching would be required, but no touching by other traffickers, but later explaining that participating in sexual or intimate physical contact with him could be necessary, though his psychic, Janet Rousson, is telling him he's a prophet and does not have to obey the rules. Okay, there you go, y'all. Application out the ass. He represents to her that he will keep her safe and protect her throughout the process, portraying himself as a comforting and nurturing figure. He also wants to practice with the women well before the op, going to the woman's home, hotel room, or office and trying to take the woman to a strip club or massage parlor together to make sure they have chemistry. What the hell? These women out here in this world, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to jump through hoops for men so that we can feel like we are equal or good enough or whatever the hell? Give me a break. Once trust is established, Ballard has Matthew Cooper or another associate facilitate the signing of an NDA, framing the agreement as a professional requirement while emphasizing that the women will be paid for her involvement. This leads the woman to believe that everything related to the operations is confidential, which leaves her isolated from her support system, such as friends, family, co-workers, making her increasingly reliant on Ballard or Cooper. Now, I don't know anything about this Cooper guy other than the fact that he was sucking Tim Ballard's ass or something. He absolutely knew exactly what was going on. And he was his right-hand man. How about this? Why don't you just try this on for size? If Tim Ballard's such a man, then why does he need another man to help him continue to sexually assault and abuse women? He's a wuss. He's a wuss. Ballard takes the women playing on the woman's emotional vulnerabilities and cultivating a personal relationship by convincing her that developing physical and spiritual intimacy. Well, does somebody want to tell me what spiritual intimacy has to do with chemistry or sex or anything? It's disgusting, y'all. It's disgusting. Over time, Tim Ballard uses this emotional connection to groom her and make her more dependent on him. Ballard shares personal intimate grievances, claiming his wife Catherine does not meet his sexual needs, specifically referring to her refusal to get a Brazilian wax or to engage in sexual activities outside of her religious commitments. Ballard normalizes these inappropriate sexual conversations, framing them as part of being fully connected as a couple's ruse partner. So, OUR, this organization, they got a policy in there, and the policy says there's the couple's ruse, and it's okay for old Timmy boy to talk about his sexual relationship or failings or whatever about his wife to another woman. That is perfectly okay. That helps develop the chemistry. Well, I'll tell you, it does. It does develop the chemistry. It develops the chemistry that Tim Ballard is a sexual groomer who does nothing but put these women at ease. And are these women supposed to not take his word for it when you've got all these people on cable and all these people from that church and everyone saying Tim Ballard's on the level? Ballard introduces elements of jealousy or competition into the dynamic, making the women feel like she's having to prove herself by claiming that other women have failed the mission by falling in love with him. He speaks horribly of other members of the team, such as Matt Cooper, Michael Parenta, Matt Osborne, and others, as well as other female operators, so that the women will feel competitive and afraid that he would deem them a traitor or get sued by Ballard if they do not perform adequately. He emphasizes that there are rules that must be followed, but then asks, how far are you willing to go to save a child? This leads to a woman being confused when he begins to manipulate emotions and push boundaries. Once the woman has been groomed into a position of trust or emotional dependence, Ballard escalates attempts to sexually manipulate the women into coercive sexual situations, such as practicing physical intimacy, claiming it is essential to maintain the illusion of being in a couple during the operations. The women often feel pressured to comply because it's Tim Ballard, the anti-trafficking expert. And Ballard tells the women that they both have compromising information on each other, ensuring they won't reveal his sexual misconduct by framing their relationship as one of mutual trust and secrecy. Yeah, y'all, I'm sorry. This is what happens when OKJ tries to go live. And I can't expect miracles from any mods that are on here. I know y'all are doing the best you know how. I'm just trying to get through this, y'all. I'm trying to prove a point here. Moonlight View says, not unlike Diddy. Okay. In many cases, Ballard would sexually assault the woman in private settings where Matthew Cooper would be present or nearby, ready to provide false testimony if necessary. If a woman resisted his advances or became suspicious, Ballard would claim he could no longer participate in operations due to his fame. He would then ghost the women and shift responsibility for future operations to other members of the team, making it appear as though the sexual assault was part of the program. He would claim, such as with Plaintiff Hightower and others, to be a traitor when they exposed his criminal fraud. I know you do, Kathy. So, that is actually word for word in the federal lawsuit. Those are the charges. And I guess really it comes down to is the hook line there of the money laundering, because when you got money laundering, you're evading what? You're evading the federal income tax, which is another thing that I think is going to come down to the wire. But the ultimate lesson that I've learned in all of this, in terms of looking it all up and everything, is that many would say this situation with Tim Ballard, that these women had a choice. If they were put into these uncomfortable situations, they could immediately run out of the room or call police or all that. But folks, looking at the totality of everything involved, these women, and most of them, okay, most of these women were of this faith, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They're taught to be submissive to men. And I just think they felt like, you know, with everything, if you're looking at all the people like Glenn Beck and the church and all these people that these women are like, these, you know, they're over here saying Tim Ballard's great, so I got to go along with this. This is part of the whatever. But Kim Nix says, I was raised in a fundamental Baptist church. The abuse that friends endured is heartbreaking. Look up Jack Shapp, polished shaft video. Unbelievable. Okay, I'll do that. I'm proud of this woman who got out of the FLDS. She went into the courtroom and testified against Warren Jeffs in red. She was never allowed to wear such a color. Women deserve as much love as the symbolism of that color red. Women deserve to be nurtured, loved, cared for, embraced, accepted. Women are just awesome, really. And, you know, these could be considered extreme versions, right? That come out in the news and the crime genre community and all this and that. But ultimately, y'all, this is going on every day around the world. This isn't, there are unspeakable things going on in other countries as well. And women and girls, my prayer is for the women of this world, because I know how much God loves woman. She was created by God. And, you know, so many women in Holy Scripture, the Holy Bible. There's so many women that need to, you know, you think about the Virgin Mary. Oh my goodness. So many beautiful things about women in this world. And am I saying that men are the only ones that do the transgressions? No. Other women can do the same. All I am trying to bring out is that the strength of a woman is so profound. And through everything that happens in this life, everything that goes on, there is no doubt in my heart and in my life that a real woman always knows her worth. And her worth isn't inflated. It isn't depression or anything. It's this awareness that you are special. You are loved. All the women of the world, my heart swells and goes out to you. Please never forget that. We will talk further about the alleged victims of Tim Ballard. I've got a couple more that I'm going to record on recordings. No live streams. I wanted to make sure that we continued down this road to get justice through understanding, whatever that means to you. Tim Ballard, I'm watching. I know. I mean, the shit's at the fan already. The federal lawsuit is what it is. And by the way, the latest news on Garth Brooks, and I'm not saying I'm for or against him. I'm just saying he's moved his case into federal court. And there are reasons for that. There's articles out explaining that. He's going to want this in a federal court system. Tim Ballard had no say-so at all. These women mean business. And Tim Ballard is fixing to go down, y'all. I don't know how long it's going to take, but criminal charges, aside from the federal issue, I believe criminal charges are going to drop as well. State criminal charges. Especially considering that Sean Reyes isn't going to be there to put up the freaking legal wall there to protect Timmy Boy anymore. I believe there will be movement in Utah. So anyway, I love all of you. Thank you, Kathy, and all the other Mods Beach Lady. I live for now. Y'all, I know I put y'all in this position, but I just want you to know that I appreciate it. I really, truly appreciate you taking your precious time to hang out with me, and I'm sorry that it's so sporadic, okay? I'm sorry I can't have a schedule. I'm sure it's hard for you to have a schedule too, so anyway, I love you all. Moonlight View, Kathy, Fancy Nancy, the Bethy Boop, Beach Lady, Juju Bonds, 1979 ACR, Kim Nix, Andrew Tate, who says, well, I couldn't see that. I guess it got... Save Man, Woman, Peace says, woman definitely has more strength than man, 9 times more. I guess I'll end on that, huh? Maybe I will get I'm sorry I cannot, I've got to say it the way I say it, but Lady in Red, just remember that. Good night, y'all, and have a great weekend, and keep on looking.